out of its electricity sales. In the past month, Germany has second thoughts about shutting down their nuclear plants. At least somebody's brain cells are working here. This is John McClory. Thanks for listening.
The Brady Farkas Show is produced and funded by WDEV and the Radio Vermont Group. We welcome listener feedback. Email your comments to wdev@radiovermont.com.
The teams you care about.
Mac Jones is good. That's not the question. The question is he good enough to win repeatedly in this loaded AFC?
The stories that matter to you.
If I'm Xander Bogaerts, I need 3 things in order to get over that insulting contract offer.
This is your home for New England sports.
Jason Tatum, superstar. Book it.
This is the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
What's up, everybody? Brady Farkas Show on a Monday right here on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Longer show today. Not quite a full show, but longer show today. We're up till about 6:40, so about an hour and 10 minutes before Red Sox baseball. Sox in Minneapolis to take on the Twins. This is a Twins team that's battling for both an AL wildcard spot and the AL Central Division crown, so these games absolutely do mean something. And the Red Sox take 2 of 3 from the Rays, so they come in with some momentum too. So our coverage at 6:40. First pitch, 7:40, with Brian Bayo on the mound against Dylan Bundy. We'll talk about the Red Sox a little bit, some moves they made, some moves they didn't make. I'll tell you about my interesting Saturday at the Champlain Valley Fair, how I got lost, some of the conversation around the Patriots after their disappointing performance in Vegas. We'll get to all of that. You can get in on the Napa-Morrisville, Napa-Waterbury text line. That's 802-585-3026. That's 802-585-3026. They are your locally owned Napa stores in Waterbury and Morrisville. All right, let's waste no time, everybody.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And here we go.
The opening thoughts on the Brady Farkas Show are brought to you by Sticks and Stuff and by Swanton Lumber, Vermont's most complete locally owned home center with locations at Enosburg, Derby, Middlesex, St. Albans, and at Swanton Lumber. They're online at sticksandstuff.com. You know, I was all set to start with the Patriots. Now I'm going to push that about 15 minutes. And the reason why is because of the breaking news we got just a little while ago. The UVM men's basketball team has finally released their full non-conference schedule. We've kind of known bits and pieces. We've talked about it a little bit as they've come up, but the non-conference schedule is out in full now. I usually hate running through lists. I'm going to give you the non-conference games in order, and then I'm going to tell you my takeaways. Your first chance to see UVM this year on the men's side, October 29th, exhibition at Patrick Gym against St. Mike's. November 3rd, also an exhibition, also at home against Middlebury College. The regular season opens November 7th. That's a game against Brown out of the Ivy League. And then UVM goes on the road for quite a while. November 10th at St. Mary's in California. November 13th at Cal State Fullerton. November 15th at USC. November 18th, they'll take on Iona. That game will be played at Mohegan Sun in Connecticut. November 22nd, they'll play at Yale. Then November 25th, 6th, and 7th, they'll play in the Nassau tournament in the Bahamas. December 1st, they'll come back home against NVU Linden. December 4th at Merrimack. December 6th at Colgate. December 20th, come back home and take on Toledo. And finally, the non-conference slate ends after Christmas, December 28th against Miami. I threw a lot of dates at you. I threw a lot of opponents at you. We'll get to all of our takeaways now, and you can get in on the Napa-Morrisville, Napa-Waterbury text line. Number one, this is an extremely challenging schedule. It is challenging in terms of teams playing against, and it is challenging in terms of sites you are playing at. UVM is taking on at least 5 NCAA tournament teams from a year ago in the non-conference portion of its schedule. Fullerton went to the tournament last year. They played against Duke. St. Mary's went to the tournament last year. Colgate went to the tournament last year. Yale went to the tournament last year. And Miami went to the tournament last year. So 5 NCAA tournament opponents on your non-conference schedule. Then you throw in the NASA tournament where there's a potential to hit even more in that tournament. So this is a brutal schedule from just a pure talent that you are playing against standpoint. And you are going to be racking up the frequent flyer miles and the bus miles. Because of the 14 non-conference true games announced today, 12 are on the road or are neutral sites. Brutal from a competition standpoint, brutal from a travel standpoint. I mean, I know you need to challenge yourself in the non-conference, but this feels like a challenge that I've never seen UVM undertake before. I mean, look, they're going to travel 3,000 miles and play 3 games in 5 nights against St. Mary's, Fullerton, and USC, 2 of those 3 that went to the tournament. Then you're going to travel back 3,000 miles, and you're going to take on Iona in Connecticut at a neutral site game before playing Yale. Then a couple of days after that, you go all the way down to the Bahamas to play 3 games in 3 days. It is a very difficult schedule. My first takeaway is just how hard it is. And we say it every year that they play a hard schedule, right? We do this every year. Oh, they're playing Kansas and Kentucky. Oh, they're playing Cincinnati and Providence. Oh, they're playing this. This to me, and I hope it's not just recency bias, this to me is the hardest schedule I've ever seen UVM have in the non-conference in the 6 years now that I've been here. I believe this will be the 6th season that I've covered UVM. I have never seen a non-conference schedule like this, right? They've always played good teams. It's never been accompanied by this kind of travel. UVM has never gone out west like this in the time that I've been covering them. And they are going about as far west as you can go. St. Mary's, USC, Cal State Fullerton. Travel back 3,000 miles to Connecticut, travel to the Bahamas, and barely play any home games. This is a daunting test. And if you're looking to challenge yourself in the non-conference as much as possible and looking to prepare yourself for conference play, this schedule is certainly going to do that. And there is something to be said for that, but damn, this is not easy. And I give John Becker and his staff and the administration, I give them a lot of credit for trying to push the envelope here. We don't know how good this team really is going to be this year. New faces, young faces, a lot of roster turnover. This is a difficult test for a lot of new players or a lot of players playing in new roles. And I give them credit because it would have been easy to sit back and say, you know what? Let's just get some wins, right? It's a young team. Let's just get some wins. That would have been easy to do, would it not have? Hey, we're losing all these guys. Let's schedule a couple of patsies. Let's get 6 to 8 wins, and let's get out of our non-conference here feeling pretty good. UVM very easily could go 5-9 in these 14 games. Very easily. We may see something different than we've seen in the last 6 years, right? From a record standpoint. This is difficult for UVM, and they very well may not have the same level of success, but I give them credit for not just saying, hey, let's get some wins and take a year off from the difficulties. They are pulling all the stops out here and pulling and going full steam ahead. Let's take a look at a couple of text line thoughts here. Peter in Williston, wow, that is a serious out-of-conference schedule just given the travel. Like you said, Colgate, St. Mary's, USC, Yale, Miami, just wow. Neutral site with Coach Pitino and Iona is no joke either. But if UVM can acquit themselves and go at least 500 with that non-conference schedule, it is going to bring a lot more national exposure. Again, exactly. I give a ton of credit that UVM was willing to do this. I don't know that they're going to go 500 in this schedule. I mean, if you look at it off the top of your head, right, and I'm just looking at this off the top of my head, you would say it's likely that they lose to St. Mary's, You would say it's likely they lose to USC. You would say it is likely that they lose to Toledo, and it's likely that they lose to Miami. Like right off the top, I would say there's probably 4 losses right there. I would say it's probably likely that they beat Brown. I would say it is probably likely that they're playing Ball State in the opening of the NASA tournament. I would say they win that. I would say they beat NVU Linden, and I would say they beat Merrimack. So I would say I've got them at 4-4 through 8 games. The other 6, total toss-up. Cal State Fullerton, that's going to be a team that's tough. I don't think they're head and shoulders above UVM, but certainly tough. Iona, same thing. Yale, same thing. Colgate, same thing. And then the other tournament games that I don't know about that aren't scheduled yet because they're obviously based on if you win or lose. But like that's 4-4 that I've got them, and those other 6 games are going to tell the story of the non-conference. It's a hard schedule. I give them credit for doing it because I had somebody tell me this once, and it's apples and oranges, right? But we all know that in high school basketball, there are these beginning of season tournaments, right? Thanksgiving tournament, Christmas tournament, whatever, depending on kind of where you're playing. I had somebody tell me once, hey, Brady, we're not bringing teams to our tournament that are going to beat us, right? We're looking here to get 2-0 and win a tournament in front of our fans. This was in high school. John Becker could have taken that approach. Hey, let's get a bunch of patsies here. Let's play more home games. Let's finish out the non-conference at 11-4, and let's just go into league play with a bunch of wins under our belt for a young team. He's not doing that. Again, this team could be 5-9. They could be 7-7. It might not be as pretty as it's been the last couple of years. Mark over in Essex, go Cats. Who else is in the NASA tournament? Man, I don't know off the top of my head. I want to say UNC Wilmington is in there. That is a team that almost got to the NCAA tournament a year ago. Yeah, we're trying to figure out exactly who it is. Oh, here we go. Well, let's see. There's multiple different versions of this tournament. Here it is. Vermont, Ball State, Missouri State, UNC Wilmington, North Texas, San Jose State, Oakland, and Long Beach State. And as I recall, I don't have this in front of me, most of those teams were either tournament teams or in their conference final a year ago. Like Wilmington was in the conference final. I think Missouri State was too. North Texas, I believe, made the NCAA tournament. Oakland, very good always, and Long Beach State, I can't remember. They might have been down, but a lot of those teams were pretty good. It is a very hard schedule. Looking at some other takeaways here, kind of a product of what I just said, I hate that there is so few home games. I really hate that. And I understand why it has to be that way, and we'll get to that because I got a text on that here momentarily. But until from the opening day of the season until New Year's Day, there are listed as 5 home games. And by the way, 3 of them are scrimmages or non-D1 games. To me, those don't even count. UVM is billing the St. Mike's and Middlebury exhibitions as home games. Those are not home games to me. Those are scrimmages. They do absolutely nothing for me. Like, it's cool that those teams get to come and play D1 teams, and it's cool that some local guys, get to play in front of their home crowd. I'm all for having the games, but if you have to bill D2 and D3 opponents as home games, there's something sad in that because you just don't have home games. So, I mean, you have 5 home games listed between November 7th and New Year's Day. 3 of them are against St. Mike's, Middlebury, and then a regular season game against Linden State, which also does nothing for me. So you get an opener on November 7th against Brown, which is great because TJ Sorrentine gets to come back, and that's going to be an awesome electric opener. And then we go 6 weeks until we see another Division I opponent, and that's Toledo on December 20th. I hate that. 6 weeks between Division I home games is not ideal. Like, we want fans to be excited about the team. It's hard to be excited when you never see the team until conference play. November 7th against Brown, then December 1st against NVU Linden, and then December 20th against Toledo 6 weeks between Division I home games. I hate that. Matt in White River Junction asked it a couple of minutes ago on the text line, why are there so few home games? Well, because sadly, something that should be to your benefit is actually to your detriment here if you're UVM. Sadly, Vermont has gotten so good. Nobody wants to come here and play anymore. That's really the story. Good programs, they know they might lose to Vermont. Right? They like when Vermont went to Kentucky, let's just say this, right? Vermont goes to Kentucky and almost wins. Like Kentucky knows Vermont could beat us. We're certainly not going to play them at their place to give them a better chance to beat us. So the good teams on this schedule, they aren't coming here because they know they may lose in their own gym or on a neutral site. They're not playing here. They're not going to give Vermont the chance, a better chance, to knock them off. It's just not going to happen. There's also things like what we call reciprocal games where you have like a 2 or 3 year contract with a school and you go back and forth every year. So like last year UVM played Yale at home, so this year they have to go on the road. So those contracts kind of take place all at the wrong time for UVM. But also teams just don't want to come here. Teams just don't want to come here. And that's the real big problem. And then number 3, I mean, the games do nothing for me. I do give UVM credit for scheduling Middlebury as a scrimmage. I'm not going to go to it. I wouldn't bill it as a home game, but I do give them credit. Middlebury is an excellent program. And Division I teams do not like to play Division III teams, much like I just said, that could beat them. I don't know that Middlebury is going to beat UVM. I would say the odds are not in their favor, but Middlebury is exponentially better than NVU Linden. Middlebury will give UVM a better game than St. Michael's will. There's zero doubt in my mind. And D1 teams don't like to risk that. Like I remember what it was like seeing Syracuse lose to Division II Lemoyne. They were a laughing stock all over SportsCenter. Teams don't like that. And I give John Becker credit that he was willing to play a really good Division III team, a team that could probably play his team close. It's a young UVM team. Middlebury is always experienced. This game could be within 15 points, and that is closer than you would like to see a D1 team play a D3 team. I give John Becker credit. 802-585-3026, Napa Morrisville, Napa Waterbury. Text line. People telling me, people complaining on the text line about John McClory. Hey, I don't play John McClory, so listen to John McClory for his 90 seconds and listen to the Brady Farkas show. That's all I can tell you there. So, all right. I don't even want to take a commercial break. I just want to get right to the Patriots. I will take your text still on UVM if you want, but Patriots got beat by Vegas on Friday night, and the final score was 23-6. And I just want to say this. I am confused why the Patriots needed to make a switch offensively. I'm just confused as to why it was ever necessary. The Pats offense looked bad. Mac Jones threw an awful pick. Mac engineered 7 drives in this preseason. It had 4 3-and-outs. It had 1 interception and had just 1 touchdown. The team has been struggling to run. Kind of nothing has been going well for them offensively now as we trend towards week 1. We're all trying to figure out who's calling the plays, and are they going to be an inside running team or an outside running team? I want to step back from all that. And I just want to wonder, why did the Patriots need to change things? Simplifying terminology, I get that. Taking it from the graduate level course that Josh McDaniels had down to the high school level course for everybody else, I can get with that. But why on earth ever did the fundamental principles and the fundamental identity of the offense need to change? That one this feels like a whole lot of grief has been introduced, and I can't figure out what the reason is. Because I feel like in my mind, I have the perfect Patriots offense in my head. I really do. I think the Patriots had it close to right last year. I want to see a Patriots offense that works off the run with Damian Harris and Ramondre Stevenson. I want to see the Patriots have the ability to bully people, to move people at the line of scrimmage. They don't have to run it 70 times a game, but I want to see them work off the run. And then I want to see off of that the Patriots take deep chances down the field. Last year, the Pats didn't have that ability. This year, they do. Nelson Aguilar, more comfortable. Tyquan Thornton, when he's healthy, presents that option. A run-based offense that allows for deep play-action shots in the middle of the field to Aguilar. That was perfect for this team. Why did it ever have to change? We are talking about a Patriots offense that has been garbage all preseason. The practice reports have been bad. What was a change ever necessary? Because I don't think so. In my mind, the Patriots had the perfect setup, and they had the pieces to be able to execute it. Oh, you have a physical offensive line that can move people at the line of scrimmage? Check. Oh, you've got a couple of running backs that can run through the line of scrimmage behind that big offensive line? Check. Oh, you've got a couple of gadget guys that can do different things like Jonnu Smith or Kendrick Bourne? Check, check. Oh, you've got a short wide receiver that's reliable on third down? Oh, hey, Jacoby Myers. You've got a couple of tight ends that can work the middle of the field? Oh, hey, Hunter Henry. You've got a speed-burning deep threat? Oh, hey, Aguilar. Oh, hey, Tyquan Thornton. Oh, you got a third down back? Well, hey, it's J.J. Taylor. Hey, it's Ty Montgomery. The Patriots, to me, have all the pieces. Why does the offense need to change? Last year, the Patriots got to the playoffs and won 10 games. An offense that didn't feature James White, an offense that had no downfield threat. If you replace the third down back, James White with Ty Montgomery, good. Or maybe Ramondre Stevenson, good. And you have a vertical component, like that's the offense. We're watching a team that can't move the ball, that there's questions abound about. I've got audio clip after audio clip of people saying they're worried about the Patriots. We don't need to be worried about the Patriots. We shouldn't have to be. They had everything in place. They did it last year, and this year they could do it better, and I don't understand why they had to change things. As we sit here, we are 13 days away from the NFL's opening game here for the Patriots. We are 13 days away from week 1, and I'm left here with more questions than answers. Last year, I knew what we were getting. Set Mac up for success. Good line, run the ball, don't create negative plays, shots down the field. They couldn't fully execute it. This year they can. And we're here we are experiencing grief. I am not sure what is going on. Texter says, 802-585-3026. Unless Patricia and Belichick have kept the real offensive game plan under wraps, what happened against the Raiders was not a good signal. Well, I do believe that the Pats kept some things under wrap. All right, I mean, Josh McDaniels knows the Patriots. They're also playing the Raiders later in the year. So I'm sure yesterday, or Friday rather, was more vanilla than usual. No doubt in my mind it was more vanilla than usual. That said, the other 2 preseason games and the other 4 weeks of training camp, that wasn't a concern, and the offense still hasn't been good. I also got to say this. I don't really love what Bill Belichick said earlier today at his media availability. Did you hear this?
I don't think you really know where your team is until you get to about midseason, mid-October. Play 5, 6, 7 games, match up against some different teams, see for real what your strengths and weaknesses are, and your opponents as well. So, what it looks like on paper and what it is in preseason and what it is in the regular season, I don't think they're all the same.
I understand what Belichick is trying to do. He's trying to deflect. He's trying to not create pressure. He's trying to not create worry. But I don't love those comments there. Bill Belichick makes it sound like the first few weeks of the season are just a feeling out process and that they're kind of irrelevant. And I just don't agree with that.
I don't think you really know where your team is until you get to about midseason, mid-October. Play 5, 6, 7 games, match up against some different teams.
Basically, Bill Belichick is saying that the first month of the season is irrelevant. And that's not the case, not now. The first month of the season and change is not like for experimentation. Maybe in the past, you could get away with that. You played in an easy division and you had Tom Brady. You knew you could go 1-3 in September and you'd be there at the end because you had 6 wins in your pocket in the division. That's not the case anymore. Buffalo is too good. Miami is too good. This isn't like, hey, we'll just roll out of bed the first part of the season, go 2-5. No big deal. We'll figure it out. We'll be good. No, if you go 2-4, 2-5, you could be done. And that sounds alarmist and it sounds doomsday, but you know what? It also sounds true. You don't have 6 free wins in your division coming anymore. Buffalo can roll you twice at the end of the year like they did a year ago. Miami can beat you twice like they did a year ago. And oh, by the way, they're better this year. And maybe the Jets, if they stay healthy, you never know, maybe they could sneak one. So for Bill to say, we don't know who you are till midseason, don't know till week 6, 7, you better figure it out. You better figure out who you are, because if you're 3-5, if you're 2-4, if you're 0-3, you could be done. He's right. You don't fully know who your team is until midseason. I totally get that. But I also believe you got to go into this season with a plan and with a planned identity. And right now it seems like the Patriots don't have one. It's week. We don't really know who we are until week 5, 6, 7. We'll evaluate our strengths. You know what? Go into the season with a plan and adjust as you go. Bill makes it seem like, we're just going to kind of go willy-nilly and throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks. I don't think that's the right way to approach this season. Go in with a script, with a plan, with a game plan of who you think you are. And if it turns out that you are not that team, then so be it. Adjust on the fly, but go in with a plan. Go in with a formula. And to me, the formula is what I said. It's last year's offense with the ability to hit Aguilar, with the ability to get the ball in Jonnu Smith's hands. That's the offense. That's the plan. Run the football, bully people up front, protect your quarterback, and then get the ball down the field. This doesn't seem that complicated to me. And for a guy in Bill Belichick who is the most detail-oriented coach in NFL history, he sounds an awful lot like a guy who's just willing to kind of fly by the seat of his pants, and I don't like that deviation. Ross says, did I miss your story about after the Nelly concert? No, I'm going to come. I'll tell you about the Nelly concert and my day at the fair here in about 10 minutes after the CBS News update. Tex says, the Pats ought to have kept McDaniel's offense as intact as it could have been. Barry Switzer just basically ran what Jimmy Johnson did when he took over the Cowboys. I don't go back that far. So that sounds right. I can't confirm or deny that, but you had a good thing, and you had the pieces. And then the Patriots come on, they trade Shaq Mason, which I didn't like. So if the offensive line isn't good enough to run at the level they should, that's a Belichick problem. He didn't need to trade Shaq Mason. He did. He doesn't need to trade Isaiah Wynn. He might. The Patriots right now, to me, as I've told you from the start, they are a 7 to 10 win team. I think 10 is this team's absolute ceiling. And after winning 10 last year, that stinks to say that because we'd like to think about our young team getting better and not having peaked in year 1 of Mac's tenure here. This team to me is much closer to a 7 or 8 win team than they are a 9 or 10 win team. And they're not doing anything to elicit any different reaction from me. They are going to win games this year. They are not going 3-14. They will figure something out. But they have too hard of a schedule and now too difficult of a division to just be willy-nilly and say, no big deal until week 5, 6, or 7. That's not the way we roll here. It's not the way it should be, at least. I mean, you're playing the Colts with Matt Ryan now. You're playing the Bengals. You're playing the Ravens. I mean, how many gimmies are on this schedule? The Browns, I like to think, with Jacoby Brissett, but the Browns have a much better roster than you do. Much better. Okay, the Jets are supposed to be gimmies. We'll see if that plays out that way, but not a lot of freebies here on this schedule. You can't just be saying, no big deal through midseason. It's the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. I'll tell you how I got lost on Saturday night at the Champlain Valley Fair. That's coming up after the CBS National News Update. You're listening to the Brady Farkas Show right here on WDEV, AM and FM, WDEVradio.com, and streaming on the free WDEV radio app.
96.1 WDEV FM Warren, 96.5 W243 AT Berry, 98.3 W252 CU Montpelier, AM 550 WDEV Waterbury.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Dell Small Business.
I'm Matt Piper in New York. A Serena set match. Tennis great Serena Williams takes to the U.S. Open next hour in what she has all but confirmed will be her last time at the tournament.
I think she's inspired a lot of people, potentially new tennis players to come for generations.
Lots of fans at the New York City Stadium are there to see the 40-year-old. CBS's Jerika Duncan is there, too.
They're excited. I mean, if you're here, you're a tennis fan, but to know that you're watching history potentially in the making, whether this is Serena's last match, as a single player here, because obviously she's going to be with her sister later, or whether she advances. People are anxious to find out what happens, and it'll always be nice to know that you were here when that happens.
NASA's Artemis rocket is still grounded. It was to go up this morning, but a host of issues means it now may be planned for Friday.
I'm Peter King at the Kennedy Space Center. Fueling was delayed by an hour to begin with. That was because of lightning, and there were a number of problems that came up during the countdown. The ultimate showstopper was the inability to chill down one of the four main engines for flight, the so-called engine bleed, which makes the engines safe to fly. NASA's next chance to launch would be Friday.
We're learning more about the documents that federal agents seized in the August 8th search of former President Trump's Florida residence. CBS's Natalie Brand.
In a new court filing Monday, the DOJ said a team review identified a limited set of materials that potentially contain attorney-client privileged information and is going through normal procedures to address privilege disputes. Federal Judge Eileen Cannon in Florida has signaled she may appoint a special master or independent party to review the documents, though she's not yet made a final decision.
Bend, Oregon police spokeswoman Sheila Miller says a Safeway supermarket employee died a hero during a deadly shooting there yesterday.
He has been identified as Donald Ray Surratt Jr., a 66-year-old Bend resident. Surratt engaged with the shooter, attempted to disarm him, and may very well have prevented further deaths.
A customer was also killed. The shooter died of a self-inflicted gunshot. CBS's Steve Futterman on a new report that says a massive ice meltdown in Greenland is set to raise global sea levels by nearly a foot by the end of this century.
The new study finds major sea level rising is inevitable and that levels globally could rise by at least 10 inches. The report in Nature Climate Change looks at the edges of Greenland's ice sheet. Its conclusion, there will unavoidably be ice melt and increased sea level rise, no matter what else happens with future carbon pollution.
Everything down today. The Dow lost 182. This is CBS News.
The Dell Technologies Labor Day event is here. Up to 48% off Vostro laptops with 12th Gen Intel Core processors. Upgrade by calling 877-ASK-DELL.
The Labor Day event from Dell Technologies is here. End the summer strong by starting up a new season of productivity. Your business upgrade begins with up to 48% off top-rated laptops, like Vostro, taking performance to the next level with 12th Gen Intel Core processors. It's time to push your growing business even further. What's next for you? Upgrade today by calling 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
Hey, y'all, this is your girl, Cheryl Underwood, and I want to tell you something. My digestive system used to make me feel sluggish, but those days are over. Now I feel great. That's because I increased my fiber intake with the Metamucil 2-week challenge, and I'm still hooked. I just took Metamucil every day for 14 days, and it's really that easy. Metamucil traps and removes the waste that weighs you down, so you feel lighter and more energetic. Now I never want to go back to that heavy feeling. Are you ready for the Metamucil 2-week challenge? For a coupon and daily support, sign up at Metamucil.com today.
Plans announced for a big foreign-owned car battery factory in this country.
With a growing push toward electric cars in this country, especially so in California, there will be a big need here for batteries to power those cars. Two Asian industrial giants are getting together to produce some of those batteries right here in the U.S. Japanese auto giant Honda and South Korean battery maker LG Energy Solution announced a joint venture to spend nearly $4.5 billion in a new U.S. electric car battery plant. Honda and LG expect construction of that battery plant to begin next year, hoping to produce lithium-ion battery cells by the end of 2025. Tom Foti, CBS News.
One of Amazon's best-selling products is a health hazard that's from a proposed class action lawsuit against Zinus, the maker of a popular and inexpensive green tea mattress sold by retailers nationwide. The trouble allegedly stems from flame-resistant fiberglass fibers released from the product. Matt Piper, CBS News.
Want Brady to hear your opinion on the sports stories of the day? Text in at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in. Brady Farkas Show right here on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. Red Sox baseball coming up at 7:40 tonight. First pitch, 6:40 with the pregame show. Brian Bayo is taking on Dylan Bundy in that one. It's 7 o'clock tonight on television is the day one of the U.S. Open. They've been playing all day in Queens, but Serena Williams' first match is at 7 o'clock. I encourage you to watch that tonight. She's taking on an unseeded player by the name of Kovinic, it looks like. I may be pronouncing that wrong, but look, if you are someone who likes seeing greatness and likes appreciating greatness and maybe seeing greatness for the last time, I encourage you to watch Serena Williams tonight. A little less than an hour from now. 54 minutes from now, Serena, prime time at the U.S. Open. So could be her final singles match of her Grand Slam career. I want to tell you the story about my trip to the Champlain Valley Fair. I was actually at the Champlain Valley Fair both Friday and Saturday. It was a great weekend at the fair. And I am not a huge fair guy. I never have been. Right? It's hot. You're walking around in the dirt a lot of times. There's lines for everything. For the most part, I'm not a fair guy. But this weekend was an absolute blast. Both concerts I went to, Scotty McCreery, the country star, on Friday. That was a gift I got Jess for her birthday. Big star, had the #1 song for a bunch of weeks in the country top 100, won American Idol a bunch of years ago. So I had not really listened to Scotty McCreery. He put on a great show on Friday. That was an absolute blast. And then we saw Nelly on Saturday, and Nelly is my first favorite, right? Like if you were growing up between 2000 and 2010, Nelly is probably in your favorite artist list. Nelly was my first favorite. Nelly is always going to be my favorite rapper. So I love Nelly, and it was awesome to see him perform. He absolutely killed it on Saturday. So both shows were great. Obviously, both different vibes, right? One country, one rap, but both awesome in their own ways. So we actually live close enough to the Champlain Valley Fair to walk. It would be about a 25-minute walk, and we thought about it, right? We thought about it. But Friday night was supposed to rain. It was really bad weather. It actually was raining by the time we got out of there. We wouldn't have gotten home until, about 11 or so. So it would have been real dark. So we decided to drive both nights. Despite the fact that we could walk, we decided to drive both nights to the Champlain Valley Fair. Parking's inexpensive. 3-minute drive versus a 25-minute walk coming back in the dark. Seemed like a no-brainer. So Friday night, concert doors open at 7. And we get there pretty close to 7, right? They start the opener at 7. We get there maybe a few songs into the opener. But we're there fairly early. Getting in, no problem at all. We get a seat. Remember, the weather's pretty bad, so it's pretty iffy, so the crowd's not as big. So we get a parking spot that's almost like right next to the entrance. We're like, wow, this is awesome. Go to the show, leave the show on our way out. No problem getting out. Found the car instantly, get out, gone. Boom. Home by 10:15 on Friday night. Saturday, different story. So we didn't care as much about the opener on Saturday. So we didn't get there till about 8 on Saturday, figuring Nelly would come on about 8:30. Well, way more crowded. Weather's a lot better. It's night 2 of the fair. Good crowd for the concert. Way more crowded. Pulling in is a nightmare. And we could kind of redirect it all around the parking lot. We end up apparently nowhere near where we were on Friday. So we get put out in the boonies. And then go into the show. Show is great. After the show's over, because the weather is better, we kind of hang around the fair a bit, right? Got a little fair food, fried Oreos, big giant lemonade, went and saw the petting zoo, like did all the typical fair things. So we go to leave, and it's like 10:20 at this point. So we go to head out. Cannot find the car. Cannot find the car. We're looking in the same direction as we were on Friday night. Not there. Walk all the way down across. We're like, doesn't feel like we're this far away. It's just like the Seinfeld episode where they get lost in the parking garage at the mall. Like, how many of you have had that feeling, right? You're at the mall, you're on a multi-level parking garage, and you're trying to remember, where the hell am I parked? That is just like what we were like, that Seinfeld episode where they've got the air conditioner and they put it behind, purple 23, and they can't find their car. That's what we're doing. And like, in the meantime, like, I'm holding the fried Oreos, I'm holding the lemonade. The lemonade is now freezing off my fingers because it's so damn cold. I've been carrying it for a while. We walked around for 35 minutes just in the parking lot looking for this car. And like, it's dark out. There's no marking. There's no parking space. You're just like on the grass or in the dirt. So it's understandable to have lost the car. And we're just thinking, where the hell are we? So we're walking back. We're hitting the key fob, like trying to lock the car, hoping it beeps, hearing nothing. We heard it beep, walked to it. Wasn't us. It was somebody else doing the same thing. We're hitting off the alarm, trying to set that off. Cannot find a thing. So we're walking left. We're walking right. We're retracing steps. We're looking for this, that, and the other. Cannot find it. So finally, I know a guy. Right? I know a guy named Jeff. I won't give his last name for his own protection, but I know a guy named Jeff who's actually a school administrator at one of the schools in Chittenden County. He works at the fair during Fair Week, kind of like security stuff. So I call him up. And I'm like, Jeff, I can't find my car. I'm like, I have no idea where this car is. I'm like, I'm pretty sure it's here, but for all I know, it's been towed, it's been stolen, and now I'm a little bit freaked out because now it's like 10:50. We've been walking around for 25, 30 minutes. Car's lost. Has it been stolen? Has it been taken? Is it in impound somewhere? How are we getting home? Are we going to have to walk home in the dark anyways? I thought Jeff was going to come out. He's like, hey, no problem. I'll come help you. Like, great. That's awesome. What a guy. I thought he was going to come out in a golf cart or something, and he's going to be driving us around, and we're going to find this car like that. He doesn't come out in a golf cart. He just comes out, and he's like, hey, we'll just walk around and look for it. I'm like, well, we've been walking around for it. So he's asking us questions. What'd you see? What gate did you come in? And Jess is like, well, I remember we saw like a trailer, like an RV. And he goes, oh, yeah, the RVs are way back there. I'm like, Jeff, there's no way we're way back there. I'm like, we walked a bit. We didn't walk that far. He goes, let's take a walk back there. Boom. There's the car. We looked for 30 minutes. Couldn't find it. Jeff, the school administrator, comes out, asks us like one question, directs us to the car. Boom. There it is. Now at this point, my hand is literally frozen off because of the lemonade. I haven't been able to eat the fried Oreos, so my left hand is now covered in powder from me walking around, the thing just flopping up and down and all the powder's flying off of it. I'm embarrassed as hell. I tell Jeff, like, hey, man, this is super embarrassing. Thank you for the help. I can't believe you had to come out and help me do this, and you found it in like 2 seconds. He's like, buddy, this happens all the time. Apparently, people lose their cars at the Champlain Valley Fair all the time. So I felt a little better by the end of it. But it was a rough Saturday between 10:05 or 10:20 and 11 o'clock. We ended up getting home about 11:05. Like, once we found the cars, we lived so close, it was easy. But damn, show was good. Show was good. Show was great, actually, both nights. The getting out of it was a disaster. 802-585-3026. Text says, we lost our car at Giants Stadium for a 70,000 seat concert. It took 3 hours to find it. That was insane. Good. That I could see 100%, right? Like you're in a giant parking lot of a game. That I can absolutely see. Matt over in Bolton, take a picture when you park, Brady. Would have been. I was so jacked up about Nelly that I didn't even think about it. And like, again, this is not, it's like we're parked in the grass. This is not like, hey, you're in A21. This is like, hey, you're in that slab of grass, or hey, you're in that slab of grass. I try to remember landmarks. I'm like, hey, we drove in at gate F and we walked in this entrance. The car should be somewhere around here. What the issue was basically, if I can equate it to football, look at it this way. I thought we were parked like if the entrance is in an end zone, I thought we were parked at like the 20-yard line, like 20 yards away. It turned out we were on like the other 20. So there was a split in the road. I never walked past that other split. Like if that's the 50, never even thought to walk past it. Like, there's no way we walked that far. Evidently we did. It was a long, long walk. Matt says Essex, Vermont is not Giants Stadium, Brady. Fair enough. Ross says you can ask, let's see, I'd laugh if your car had gotten repossessed. That's an inside joke. No, it did not get repossessed. You can ask Siri to remember your parking lot. Or your parking spot? Is that true? Can I ask Siri to remember my parking spot? How is that possible? Hey, Siri, remember that I'm parked in A15? How does that work? And so then at the end, they say, hey, Siri, where am I parked? And it says, you are parked at A15. How is that possible? Hey, Siri, I'm parked next to the Ferris wheel. Like, how does that work? I'm going to have to test that out, but somebody tell me how I can get Siri to remember my parking lot. Now that I'm saying that, my own Siri is going off, so that's miserable. My phone's trying to beep at me as I do the show. Ross says it works exactly like that. All right, well, to test that out. When I leave today, I have my car parked. When I leave today, I am going to ask Siri to remember my parking space, and we'll see. So you're telling me, I tell her, hey, Siri, remember that I parked next to the Honda Accord. And then at the end, I say, hey, Siri, where am I parked? She'll tell me back, you're parked next to the Honda Accord. Okay, I'll take your word for it, Ross, but that's very, very interesting. 802-585-3026. This is the Brady Farkas Show here on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. All right, I want to switch gears. Someone says, Tom in Morrisville, Brady, that does sound like that Seinfeld episode. That one was just on the other day. It's my favorite. Oh, that was on the other day. I actually watched it and ironically was laughing at it myself. My favorite Seinfeld episode is the calzone, where George has to get the calzones for George Steinbrenner. That's my favorite. Red Sox game, 23 minutes from now. I want to get to a story here that's been getting a lot of traction this weekend, and it's about why the Red Sox haven't signed Rafael Devers yet, and why they didn't sign him early in his career, right? You saw the deal. Julio Rodriguez for the Mariners, 21 years old, just signed at minimum an 8-year contract extension, right? 21 years old, not even a full season in the majors, 8-year deal, locked up to be a Mariner, maybe even for life. Ronald Acuna Jr., huge deal with the Braves. Michael Harris, huge deal with the Braves. Wander Franco, huge deal with the Rays. All around baseball, there are a lot of young stars signing contracts before they need to, right? Before they need to. The question is, why did the Red Sox not do that with Devers? There's one reason why, in my opinion, and that reason is ownership. Red Sox ownership. People want to blame Chaim Bloom. People want to blame Dave Dombrowski for not getting this deal done with Devers. The real culprit here is ownership. It's popular to blame Dombrowski, right? Dombrowski was the GM when Devers arrived in Boston. I cannot blame Dave Dombrowski. Dave Dombrowski was brought here to win the World Series. And Dave Dombrowski was brought to Boston to only worry about today. With Dave Dombrowski's tenure, the future be damned. Red Sox said, get us a championship and do it as fast as possible. Get us a title and do it today. That's what Dave Dombrowski did. The future was never in consideration for Dave Dombrowski. He traded away a gazillion prospects for of the future. He was not looking 4 or 5 years down the road. The Red Sox told him, worry about now. He was always looking at present day. Win the World Series, they said. He did that. Everything else was irrelevant. So Dave Dombrowski was never on his radar to go and sign the 22-year-old Rafael Devers, who had 5 years left of team control. That was never his plan. He was told, get us a title. Go get Chris Sale. Boom. Go get Mitch Moreland. Go get Steve Pearce. Go get Ian Kinsler. Go get guys that win us a title. That is what mattered to him. That was his initiative, and he fulfilled it. It's not his fault that Rafael Devers wasn't signed long-term. Ownership is the reason. They gave Dombrowski initiative. He fulfilled it. And if they didn't tell him to worry about the future, he was never going to. They should have looked at the future and said, you know what? Dave's worrying about today. We need to take stock of the organization, and they didn't. Ownership is the reason that Rafael Devers did not get a Julio Rodriguez deal, did not get a Fernando Tatis Jr. deal, did not get a Wander Franco deal. They were so busy worrying about today alongside Dombrowski that they also didn't look at the future. Now you fast forward to 2020. It's easy and popular to blame Chaim Bloom, right? But he came in and inherited a whole different set of initiatives. He was told to worry about the future, but he also had to worry about things that were pressing more so than Devers. Hey, come in, immediately trade Mookie Betts, please. Hey, fix our farm system and fix our payroll. And oh, by the way, navigate the pandemic and your fired manager as you do it. So Bloom comes in, and his first initiative, shed the payroll or fix the payroll issue. Trades Mookie Betts. Gets rid of David Price. Okay. So there's that. Then fix the farm system. Okay. Get the pieces for Betts. Now you're going in season. The team's awful. Hey, all right, we're going to trade Pilar. We're going to trade Moreland. We're going to trade all these guys. We're going to trade Embry. We're going to trade Workman. Now we're going to build up the farm system. Hey, let's get right to the draft, by the way, as soon as the season starts. Then Devers doesn't have a very good year in 2020, right? He doesn't have a very good year. Comes in out of shape. Alex Cora's not there. He's not responding that well. Just didn't look that good. Well, now ownership's like, hey, maybe this guy's not the real deal. Then you hit 2021, and Devers is awesome. And now it's like, hey, now his management team's like, hey, we only got 2 years left here, right? Let's just take it out now. Let's just take it to the road. This is an ownership problem to me. Dave Dombrowski was given an initiative. He fulfilled it. Chaim Bloom was given an initiative, and he fulfilled a lot of it. None of that included Rafael Devers. Ownership is the one who should have been looking out for the long-term interests of the organization. Dombrowski worries about today and does it. Bloom worries about the future, but also gets told, hey, right away, trade Mookie, all while navigating the pandemic, and he does it, and ownership never steps to the plate. Ownership never steps to the plate. Bloom could have given Devers a better offer this offseason. I'm with you on that. But in the pie of blame for why wasn't Rafael Devers given the Julio Rodriguez contract, 90% ownership, 10% Bloom, 0% Dombrowski. That's how I'm looking at this. The ownership didn't have the vision it needed. It didn't have the vision to see that this mattered when Dombrowski was here, and they told Bloom when he got here that this wasn't the priority. Those things were the priority. And here it just might come back and screw them in there, come back and screw them. Let's see. Matt says, Brady, can you explain Red Sox ownership? Who is in charge? Well, John Henry is the owner, right? The Fenway Sports Group is the The Fenway Sports Group is the ownership group. John Henry is the guy who is really the one who is in ultimate charge. Tom Werner and Sam Kennedy are on the team here to kind of like the executive board here, I guess you would say. Like they are in the, they're in the room, but John Henry is the guy. Text also says Red Sox ownership is overcommitted to other sports and seems like the Red Sox are now second fiddle at best. Possible, right? They own Manchester United. They own the Pittsburgh Penguins now. Possible, but that wasn't the case. The Penguins at least weren't in play 2, 3, 4 years ago. 2, 3, 4 years ago, it was all about winning the World Series. Dombrowski did it. Future be damned. Devers not the priority. We're winning today. Bloom gets in. Future is not damned, but we've got more pressing needs right now than Devers. Then Devers plays poorly in 2020. We're like, okay, show me you can do it, big boy. He does it last year. And now his management team's like, you know what? I think I'm good. Now we'll just kind of wait it out. I'm not blaming Bloom or Dombrowski for this. This to me is more of an ownership problem. All right, here's what we'll do. We'll get to the lineups. The game starts, pregame show in 15 minutes. I got to say, though, before we get to the lineups, Tom Brady took another shot at New England. Did you hear this? I'll show you what he played. That's next on DEV.
Marvin windows are designed for unprecedented performance and exceptional aesthetics. Marvin's expansive window portfolio has every style you can imagine, all of them crafted with the highest quality material and the ability to mix and match across product lines that allows you to achieve the right form and function for your residential, commercial, and replacement needs. See our Marvin specialist at Sticks and Stuff and Swanton Lumber in Middlesex, St. Albans, Enosburg, Swanton, and Derby, or online at sticksandstuff.com.
Now more than ever, Vermonters are eager to get out and about. And Vermont's outdoor recreation businesses and organizations are here to help. They build and maintain the trails we walk and ride. They grow and sell the local food that keeps us going and make and sell the gear that keeps us strong and safe. The Vermont Community Loan Fund is here to help Vermont's outdoor rec industry with our new Trails Loan Program, supporting outdoor recreation and those who make it possible. Trails offers financing and free business resources to help Vermont's trailblazing outdoor rec community grow stronger and more sustainable, generating jobs and energizing our rural economy. The Vermont Community Loan Fund, for over 30 years, Vermont's nonprofit business lending partner. Learn more about Trails and our other business lending programs at investinvermont.org. That's investinvermont.org.
The 17th annual Big Dog Daddy year-end clearance sale is on at Lamoille Valley Ford. Our customers' favorite sale is back and better than ever. Tell them, kid.
Thanks, Dan. Folks, at Lamoille Valley Ford, we have one of the largest inventories of new Fords in New England, and we're ready to make deals. While many dealers have little or no inventory, take it from me. At Lamoille Valley Ford, you won't have to settle for an ugly truck or SUV. Right now, at Lamoille Valley Ford, we not only have a nice selection of new Ford vehicles on the lot ready for immediate delivery, but we also have a ton of late model, low mileage certified cars, trucks, and SUVs in stock. And folks, we need to sell them, and here's why. We have a massive amount of ordered and incoming 2023 Fords about to arrive, and we need to make room on our lot ASAP. Also, if you're in need by the end of the year, act now and don't get caught flat-footed this fall. Order the exact vehicle of your dreams by taking advantage of Lamoille Valley Ford's volume approach, and let us get your new truck or SUV ordered and built fast.
Woo! So drive Route 14, 15, or 16 to Hardwick and the Big Dog Daddy year-end clearance sale happening right now at Lamoille Valley Ford.
For a small state, Vermont has a lot going on. Join me, Rick Singari, for Vermont Viewpoint. I'll speak with members of the arts community, entrepreneurs, elected officials, and authors. Anyone and everyone who's doing something interesting or noteworthy in the Green Mountains. That includes you. Your comments are always welcome. Vermont Viewpoint, weekdays from 9 to 11 on WDEV, AM and FM, and streaming at WDEVradio.com.
The Brady Farkas Show now has an interactive text line, so reach out now at 802-585-3026.
Whoa. What did he say?
Mac Jones? Good Lord. Mel Kiper's got to slow down on this. Mac Jones ain't going to work, folks. It's not going to work. He's got to come to terms with it. It's not going to work.
They really said that?
Every damn thing is politics and race. And I'm losing
my mind over it.
It's time for Who's Saying What on the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Who's Saying What? Brought to you on the Brady Farkas Show by Vermont Laser Wash. That's Central Vermont's home of unlimited car washes. If you want unlimited car washes, it's $20 a month. If you want one free car wash, well, you just text the word Vermont to the number 30 and then 400. So Tom Brady is back from his 11-day absence from Bucs training camp. Had a lot of, he said he's got a lot of things going on at age 45, didn't elaborate, but he also talked about his experience in Tampa and said some pretty interesting things here.
I think that, since I came to this organization, it's been an amazing, it's just been an amazing experience for me to come to this place and be as supportive as I had over a long period of time. And, I read all these stories about all these different places I was supposed to go or could have gone. And I'm like, I only was going to go to, one place, which was here. I think this whole organization knows that. And all the conversations that we've had over a period of time, I chose the right place for me. It's been an amazing relationship. And I'm very grateful to everybody for allowing me to come down here and experience this part of my football life, which, I look back and would probably be incomplete had I not had it. So I'm happy I've had it.
That's all well and good. Wax poetic about your current employer, downplay your absence, etc. That's fine. That's what you should do publicly. But make no mistake, that is a shot at Bill Belichick, and it's a shot at the Patriots. Brady says his football career would have been incomplete without going to Tampa. Why don't you just take the knife and dig it right into our hearts and twist it a couple of times? You're telling me the greatest football career in history wasn't enough for you? Well, why is that? Because, Tom Brady, you had to prove to Bill Belichick that you could win without him, because you had to prove that you could wriggle out from Bill Belichick's thumb, because you just wanted to get out and see the world and see what it was like somewhere else. It could be any of those things, but all of those reasons are a shot at New England. Tom Brady became a Hall of Famer in this region. He became a great winner in this region. He put together the greatest resume in NFL history in this region. People would kill for Tom Brady's career and Tom Brady's accomplishments, and that wasn't enough. That completely unnecessary for Tom Brady to say this.
I look back and would probably be incomplete had I not had it. So
my football career would be incomplete without having gone to Tampa. Are you kidding me? Seriously. There's nothing there except a shot. Like Tom Brady needed to go away and experience someone else to have closure or validation. I don't know. But people love the idea of being one franchise guys. There's a romantic nature that comes with being on one team for your entire career. But Brady says, no. That's not good enough. Being Derek Jeter playing for the same team my whole career, that's not good enough. Being Kobe Bryant, that's not good enough. No. None of that is good enough. Going to Tampa for 2 years, for 3 years now, that's what I needed to complete my football career. It hurts to hear that. It hurts that he would say that. I'm hurt that Belichick let it get to the point where he does feel that way. It just, hey, imagine if your ex-wife said to you, or your ex-husband, hey, we had a great 20-year marriage and we produced 3 awesome kids who were all successful. But you know what? I really needed that 2-year fling with my secretary to be fulfilled. Come on. I'm hurt that it got to that point. I'm hurt that he feels that way. I'm hurt that he said it. I'm upset Belichick let it get to that point. But there is no way that Tom Brady's career needed this little fling in Tampa to be complete. That's nothing but to twist the knife in a little bit here. I'm not buying that at all. Tom Brady already had a complete football resume, and he just needed something different to make it be extra complete. No. That was just a shot, and I do not appreciate it. All right. The Red Sox game here, we've got a break in 3.5 minutes, I'm told, before we get to the pregame show. So the Sox are 62-66. The Twins are 65-61. Minnesota's battling right now for both the AL wildcard and the AL Central Division crown. Brian Bayo pitches for the Sox 0-3 with a 7.36. Dylan Bundy's on the mound for the Twinkies, 7-6 with a 4.56. Lineup for the Red Sox, Tommy Pham leads off in left. He's got 15 homers. Alex Verdugo, who's been pretty hot the last couple of months, he's in right. He's up to 59 RBIs. Xander Bogaerts is hitting 303. He's the shortstop. I think he's 7 for his last 16. Rafi Devers hitting 294 now with 25 home runs and 65 ribbies, is at third. JD Martinez finally homered yesterday. He's at 275. He's the DH. Trevor Story came back this weekend. He's at second. Franchi Cordero is the center fielder today. That's right, the center fielder. Christian Arroyo is at first, and Reese McGuire is the catcher. For the Red Sox, they made several roster moves over the weekend and late last night. Jarren Duran, you know about. He was sent down to AAA Worcester, and in his place is Trevor Story. DFA'd is Austin Davis and Hirokazu Sawamura. They are both gone. So Zach Kelly is up from AAA, an intriguing young pitcher, and Caleb Ort, who we saw earlier this year, he is back. But the Red Sox starting the roster churn in their bullpen. For the Twins, Luis Arias is hitting he's hitting 318. He's at first base. Carlos Correa is at 276, 15 homers and 44 ribbies. He's at short. Max Kepler, who's been injured this year, is in right. Jose Miranda, the young rookie, hitting 272. He's the DH. The youngster Nick Gordon is at second. The former Yankee Gio Urshela is at third. Jake Cave is in left. Gilberto Celestino is in center. And Sandy Leone, old friend, former Red Sox catcher, does the catching, and he bats ninth. Go check out the full show podcast, everybody. Brady Farkas Show is available on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. Great show coming up tomorrow. You're actually going to hear tomorrow from Buster Olney and AFC East expert Henry McKenna of Fox Sports. We'll talk about the Pats and some of their issues. Red Sox baseball is coming up next. Again, the first of three from the Twin Cities. We'll see you tomorrow, everybody. It is the Brady Farkas Show right here on WDEV, AM and FM, and always streaming at WDEVradio.com. See you tomorrow.
WDEV, Vermont's news station, is your source for up-to-the-minute news at the